This particular time in the Christian tradition is considered one of the most sacred of all of the observances throughout the year. And it is the time that is known as Holy Week. It begins with Palm Sunday and culminates on Easter with the resurrection. Alongside what is taught in the traditional church and doctrine exists a path that is about mystical union. It is the path of the initiate. And that's the path that I would like to spend our time today exploring, how the teachings of Jesus in these days of Maundy Thursday, which is today, then Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter Sunday all mark very specific and important points along this mystical path. I'm going to focus today on another aspect of the story of the Last Supper rather than communion. For those of you who would like to really focus on the communion part of the Maundy Thursday service, certainly there are other opportunities for you to be able to do that. I'm going to put my energy, though, on another piece of the story and lay that as the foundation for our time today, and then build on it in the subsequent 3 talks that will lead us up to Easter Day. So what is this path of the initiate? Well, today, Maundy Thursday, there's this time that Jesus spends with the disciples, and he gives what is, in my opinion, one of the most mystical teachings on oneness that he can possibly share with them. And as I have spoken about in relationship to Palm Sunday, he does it again in the context of the ordinary activity of our day, the ordinary activity of our life, to be able to show that not only does he teach by using words, but he teaches by demonstrating. When we come to the Good Friday experience, it's once there is this acceptance of abiding in the Word, of taking the teaching and incorporating it into our lives, anything that does not look like that is crucified, is let go of, in order to open up into that fullness of who we are here to be. And then we go into the time of Holy Saturday, into the void, the tomb, where it is still, and in the silence then the guidance is given and the divine revelation that then leads to the Easter Sunday resurrection experience. So those are the 4 points that are along this path of the initiate. First is the abiding and taking the teaching into our life. Second is the letting go of the crucifixion, the elimination of anything that no longer serves, and the fulfillment of incorporating this as our walk. Going into the silence to be able to hear the voice of the divine revelation, and then Easter Sunday being lifted up and resurrected into this new way of being. So what is it that Jesus did that was this mystical teaching I'm referring to that showed the disciples, the apostles, the true nature of oneness? I want you to put a pin in that and let me move to way in which this shows up in our everyday lives. I know that I am currently in a situation, I'm in a time in my life where I am walking through this path of the initiate, where other aspects of my life, my livelihood, my living arrangements, are all in a state of transformation. And as I was walking along the beach yesterday, I was thinking to myself, how is it that I'm going to go about generating income? That was the question I was asking. As I walked along the sand, I began to realize I was asking the wrong question. And what started to come to me as I was thinking of a song by Ricky Byers-Beckwith called Use Me, and it says, "Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do," plane going overhead, "that I will abide here." And that got me thinking about something that Jesus had said to the disciples, that if you abide in my word, then you will know truth. Well, what does it mean to abide? What is the word? It means to rest in the word, and what is the word but the teachings? That led me to understand I was asking the wrong question, for if I am to abide in the word, if I am to abide in the teachings, what particular teaching is part of the Holy Week experience, most specifically today, the Passover as it was celebrated in Jesus' time, Maundy Thursday as we call it now in the Christian tradition. What was that teaching that he was instructing the disciples to abide in? So let me have you go ahead and let's pull that pin now, and I want to turn to Scripture. John, the 13th chapter. And this is what it says. Jesus had been with the disciples. They had had their Passover feast. And after the feast, it tells us that Jesus got up from the table. He took off his outer robe. He tied a towel around himself. He then poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the disciples. When he came to Peter, Peter said to him, "Why are you doing this to me? Why are you going to wash my feet?" And Jesus says to him, "Well, you don't know what I'm doing right now, but later on you will understand." Now, let me jump from that point. He says that you don't understand because the teaching that he is giving at that particular moment is a very profound and a very deep teaching that to the naked eye and to the rational mind may not make a lot of sense. Why is he, the master, the teacher, washing the feet of the student, of the disciple? And Jesus says to him, "Do you know what I have done to you?" He says, "You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right. But if I, as teacher and Lord, have washed your feet, then should you also do this to others? For I tell you that the servants are no greater than the master." The servants are no greater than the master. What is the word? What is he teaching that we are to abide in? It is a very deep, very mystical teaching on the nature of oneness and on the nature of being in sacred service as an act of devotion, as an act of devotion in God, as an expansion in consciousness that recognizes there is no difference between you and I, you and our brother, you and your sister, that we are all equals and that we are one in the sight of the beloved. We are to give of ourselves in acts of service as sacredness, as a path of realization of the initiate. So let me go back to my experience on the beach. When I came to understand and look at this teaching about being in sacred service, I realized then that the question I need to be asking is, where, beloved? How, beloved? Show me, beloved, the way in which I am to serve in ministry. Show me the way in which I am to serve. For it is in the serving of one another, it is in the serving in you, that then all of the ways, all of the places, all of the people will be drawn, and I will be drawn to those to whom I am to serve. So let me bring this all together. Jesus taught not only by speaking, but by doing, because he actually took the action to be of sacred service and demonstrate to his followers, to his disciples, that the way of oneness is the way of total equality. It is the way of recognizing that we share our gifts with one another and that we devote ourselves in sacred service as an act of love, pure love. Today is Maundy Thursday. It is one step, a first step in the 4 days that lead up to the resurrection on Easter Sunday. Today, is there an aspect of your life, even if it is something that is absolutely fantastic, that is really good in your life, that perhaps is even holding you back from your greatness? Because sometimes we have to let go of our good in order to become great. Whatever it is that is going on in your life right now, can you take a look at one aspect of it and devote yourself to it as an act of sacred service? However else you may be holding it in your consciousness right now, you may be holding it as this is my livelihood, or you may be holding it as I am caring for an ailing parent, or I am being present to the illness of a spouse, or I am raising my child. Whatever it is that you are doing, I'm driving. I mean, we can certainly look at that as an aspect of being of sacred service. I'm shopping at the grocery store. Whatever it is that is in the ordinary experiences of your lives, because what did Jesus do in this teaching? He took an ordinary experience, the Passover feast, the time where they were together, and he knelt down and he washed their feet, sharing with them that it is this path of sacred service that is devotion in the beloved. So no matter what it is that you are doing, the ordinary experiences of your life, can you take that and ask yourself, how, beloved, may I do this as an act of sacred service? See, this is the practice that I want to give to you for today. Choose one aspect of your life and devote yourself to it as an act of sacred service, as an act of love, whereupon you are gift-bestowing hands, an expression of the divine, right here, right now, as an initiate into the path of mystical union, into the path of the divine, where you know yourself as being humanly divine and recognize that the walk that you are walking is in the footsteps of this particular master teacher, Jesus the Christ, and that it follows the initiate path that has been taught by master teachers across millennia and even including today. It is a holy and sacred time in the Christian tradition of being Holy Week. We see it this way because we recognize that it is the mystical path of enlightenment, of oneness, of bliss, of nirvana, known by many names. Yet at its very core essence, it is the way in which the master teacher said, follow me, do what I do. You will realize what I have realized, is that the Father and I are one, and each and every one of us are emanations of the divine. So my invitation to you for today, devote yourself, one aspect of your life, as sacred service, and hold that awareness as you are practicing that activity. And then let us see what shows up as we take the remaining 3 steps of Good Friday, the letting go, the elimination of all that no longer serves that purpose, moving into the silence, to the void, for the divine revelation, and then the resurrection of the newness of your life on Easter Sunday. Many blessings to you, and namaste.